Jill, hello, and thank you for joining me today for a quick catch up. Start by telling everyone where you are in the world and how life has changed for you professionally since the virus outbreak.
Hello, hi everyone. Yeah, so I'm in Annapolis, Maryland, which is about 30 minutes away from Washington, D.C.
And what were you doing prior to this with your work, and what's happened to
Yeah.
you since?
Sure. So I'm a physician assistant. So I worked as a PA for about 13 years now. First 5 years I was in the emergency room, and for about 8 years now I've been working in orthopedics. So I treat a lot of sports injuries, a lot of runners, and a lot of various athletes. So that's kind of in an outpatient setting. So that's what I was doing before the virus outbreak. And again, it was not in a hospital setting, but things have changed.
And what's happened since? Tell us.
Yeah, so since the pandemic, there's not a lot of need for a lot of us working in the outpatient setting, treating sports injuries. Not a lot of people are getting injured right now, and we also can't do elective surgeries. So we had to close the clinic down. And the hospital asked if we wanted to volunteer to work in the inpatient side, treating more sick patients. So a few of my colleagues and myself, we volunteered for redeployment. So now we're working in the hospital, in the inpatient setting, treating sick patients.
So give us an insight. How is that for you on a daily basis? What is the atmosphere like? And I know that you were saying to me before how you've had to kind of like learn on the job with some new techniques and processes.
Yeah, so it's a totally different setting than I'm used to working in. I'm used to Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. This is 12-hour shifts, so it's 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. or 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., even on the weekends. So the time change is definitely different. The hours are much longer. And like I said, the patients that we're treating are very different than what I'm used to. They're more sick. We do treat some COVID patients who've tested positive and a bunch of other different diseases that are coming in that we're having to treat right now. So yeah, the hospital setting is definitely a bit of a change for myself and my colleagues. Everybody there has been very helpful to welcome the help and to welcome all of the volunteers that have come over. Hospital setting right now, you've probably seen a lot of stuff on the news. Unfortunately, not a lot of visitors, not a lot of volunteers, not a lot of family members are in the hospital. So it can be, pretty lonely. The patient rooms are pretty dark and lonely. And, I'm happy to be there and happy to help out how I can right now.
You're doing a fantastic job. Now, as someone who's a very keen runner and a very experienced runner, how important is running to you at this time?
Oh, it's really important. Running is the one thing that I don't know what I would do if I didn't have it right now. I look forward to it, and I know that I have a day off or the weekend or whenever it is that I have free time. I look forward to running. I plan out my runs. It's kind of the one thing that I can control right now. Our schedule, like I said, changes from week to week, so I don't know when I'm going to work. I don't know if I'm going to be working nights in a couple days or what my schedule will look like because it's not consistent. It's like I said, it's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So I could be working whenever. So at least with running, when I know I have a day off or some free time, I can run. I don't have to have a mask on. I can breathe. I can enjoy nature. I can kind of control that one little section of my life right now. So like I said, I don't know what I would do without running. It's my time to unwind. I can, de-stress. I can just think about other stuff other than medicine or sick patients. So yeah, running has been really helpful and very important right now.
And that self-care to get you in the right mental and physical state is so important for when you are faced with patients. Are you finding that other colleagues and friends and other people are also turning to running? Is it quite a thing where you are?
Yeah, I would say that a lot of my running friends have continued to run. I have some colleagues that, whether it's running or walking, they kind of say, I'm going to go outside and walk around the hospital or do what I can right now. So yeah, a lot of people are turning to physical activity during this time to help with just the stress. But yeah, I would say a lot of my colleagues have continued to rely on running during this time.
Now, running for everybody is very different at the moment. Had things been normal, give us an idea of what the first half of the year would have been like for you, because you're one of our race captains and we know that, you know, you're on that, you've done the 6-star journey, and just tell us what you would have been doing if things hadn't changed.
Hadn't have changed. Yeah. So I had a really exciting spring race schedule planned. I was looking forward to some of them. Thankfully, I was able to be in Atlanta for the marathon trials. I think you were there as well.
Yeah, it
So
was
I was
great.
happy that I was able to check that off my list. I had Rock and Roll DC, which is kind of a local race that I pace and look forward to every year. I had a race in Charleston, South Carolina, the Coopers River Bridge. It's a very large 10K. I had the Brooklyn half. It was last weekend. Yeah, this past weekend. So I was looking forward to that, but unfortunately, rely on virtual running right now. But yeah, those were some of the races I was looking forward to, and of course, spectating at Boston. I was looking forward to
Which
that.
we know is one of your favorites, because you joined us on the panel that we had in Boston last year, which is hard to believe that's over a year ago. So you're not the only one that's had to readjust and think differently about their running. What advice would you have for sort of your fellow marathon runners who are struggling with this uncertain times and not knowing what to train for and if to train? How would you sort of, you know, advise them with their running?
Yeah. So a couple things. I mean, the first is to remember that this is temporary. You know, this is not going to last forever. It may last another month, 2 months, who knows how long it's going to last. But we just have to keep in mind that this is temporary. Running's not canceled. Racing may be canceled, you know, right now, but running's not canceled. So, you know, get out there if you can't. Sorry, my dog's kind of wanting to get in. She's wanting to play. So, you know, running is still available. It's still there. Racing may be canceled, but unfortunately, you know, we just have to kind of remind ourselves, hey, this is temporary. It's just going to be for a period of time. We will get back together. We will be back to, you know, running in large groups and enjoying the spectators and the crowds. A couple things that have been really helpful right now for me personally is watching documentaries on running. You know, if you just Google search like running documentaries, you can find like The Spirit of the Marathon, for instance, has been one that I like, that I've watched in the past. So documentaries or movies on running are really helpful. I try to watch one the night before my long run just because it'll inspire me. You know, if I'm watching a documentary on somebody running 200 miles, I know, hey, I can run 2 miles tomorrow. So you know, look online, find a documentary or movie that you haven't watched before, Chariots of Fire, whatever it may be, find something about running and get back to, you know, your roots. Another thing that is helpful is, you know, our Facebook group. You can really get a lot of inspiration from the runners there. People posting just different things that they're doing, creative ways that they're continuing to run. So, you know, head to social media and all of our groups and whoever you may follow and kind of just see what they're doing and what can you do as well to be inspired. I also like virtual running. Like I've been doing a lot of the virtual races, like with Rock and Roll, for instance, and that stuff is free. So hop on there, see what else is available, what you can do, and that'll kind of keep you motivated and kind of provide a structure that you may not have during this time. So, and another thing too that I know, you know, during marathon season, I'm guilty of saying things like, oh, I should pick up yoga or stretching, or I should do the foam roller, and I never do that stuff, you know. So a lot of us always say like, oh gosh, I wish I had more time to, you know, pull out my yoga mat and do some stretches. Well, now's the perfect time. So if you feel like, hey, I don't know if I really want to run right now, try to find something else that you wish that you added during marathon training. Or if you have never picked up, you know, tempo runs or speed sessions, do something like that right now. There's no pressure for a race, which is kind of nice. So you don't have this goal that's coming, you know, this race goal that's coming up in a month or 2 months that you have to be ready for, or there's not that pressure there. So, you know, just try to, on your own, whatever goal you may have, work towards that so that when racing is back, you'll be prepared for that.
Fantastic advice. I'm with you about mixing things up and keep yourself guessing so you don't get stuck in a rut, because now's the time to try. Last question for you, Jill. I know I want you to get some rest, most importantly on your day off. When you're looking towards things becoming normal again and we are back together at races, what's the thing that you're most looking forward to, the thing that you miss most at the moment and want to rekindle?
I love racing. You know, I love the large crowds. I know that when we're, you know, in a group at the start line, like you probably don't know anybody that you're around. But I love that. I love the camaraderie. I love just being surrounded by strangers. I love all of the spectators that come out with their signs. And even though they may be silly signs that are, you know, say, you know, punch here for more power, you know, some of those things that like we kind of just are accustomed to seeing all the time. And I'm excited to be back with everybody else, to be high-fiving little kids or collecting candy along the way from strangers or little kids that come out with their gummy bears or Twizzlers or whatever it is. I really like that. And I think that, you know, we kind of take that for granted. You know, we just think we can sign up for a race and it'll always be there and the people will always be there. The organizers will always show up. But unfortunately, this is kind of an unprecedented time that that's not there. And so I think a lot of us will look forward to being back together with the large groups of people and just complete strangers that all have come together for, you know, one single goal.
Yeah, it's really that global community, which no matter who you are or where you are, if you're a runner, you have that connection. I completely agree. And we hope that it's not too far in the future until we see you at the start line of another major. Jill, thank you so much for making time for us today. What you are doing means so much to so many people. So a big thank you to you and to all our marathon runners who are working on the front line to keep us safe. We really do appreciate it. And Jill, you're doing a great job, and hopefully you can get back to your normal job sooner than later.
Yes.
Take care of yourself.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye for now.